So we're leaning on those in office and in punditry to kind of give us their take on what happened last night, Virginia, New Jersey, New York City. What does it mean for next year? Wesley Hunt watches it closely because he's not only a sitting congressman representing Texas's 38th district, he's also making a run for that Senate seat there and joins us this morning. Congressman, glad to have you.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning, Chris? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, and thank you so much. Throughout the great state of Texas, you guys have your elections pretty well buttoned up, but it is obviously a problem in many, many states, and it's only getting worse. The mail-in vote, President Trump doesn't like it at all. I don't know if anything can be done about that at the federal level. Probably not. States get to run their own elections, but the RNC did figure it out, and President Trump, to great effect, ended up winning. Using their system. I mean, we can play in their sandbox and win. Last year showed us that. But what do you say about kind of the broader way in which we vote? Will that always be a problem for Republicans?
Look, I hate mail-in voting too. And if you're a disabled person or not an able-bodied person, they can get up, get out of your pajamas, put shoes on and clothes, and go actually vote in person. I think that's a shame. That's exactly what we should be doing as red-blooded Americans. If you are disabled, well, then let's have another conversation. But you are right. It is a situation that is ripe with fraud. We're seeing it run rampant, especially in blue states. And the idea of curtailing it or coming up with a better solution is something that's very important. And you are right. Here in Texas, you have to have an ID to vote. I just voted yesterday here in Texas, and I just showed my ID. There was a nice lady there who verified my address and my name, and that's already in the system. And then when I voted on a paper ballot, printed it out, put it in another machine, they verified it, and then I got my "you voted" sticker, I voted sticker, and I was very, very proud of that. I think every single state needs to follow that example if they care about free and fair elections. And I'll end with this. Even with the system here in Texas being what it is, we are still having illegals vote in our elections. That is a complete abomination. That is something that only should be done for American citizens, because that's what it means to be an American citizen, that we get to vote in our own elections, and illegals do not dictate our leadership. And so we have some work to do moving forward.
So, Congressman, that is something one could presume could be dealt with at the federal level, making sure illegals are not. I know DOJ is looking at that. I know President Trump has talked about it. Is there a federal fix to voter fraud?
There absolutely is, especially when it comes to illegals, because this goes to border security. This goes to the overall security of this nation, which also means protecting the ballot box in a way that doesn't infringe on states' rights and keeping illegals out of this country and not allowing them to vote kind of via transitive property. They shouldn't be in this country, so how are they voting? I do believe that that's a way that the federal government can attack this. And I also want people to know this as well. I'm the kind of guy that's for small government. I'm the kind of guy that believes in this constitutional republic. So I'm also very cautious with federal government overreach, because when that happens, I guarantee you don't want it. And this is why states like Texas and Florida are growing at a rapid pace, because we keep the federal government out of our lives as much as possible. So that should go for elections as well, unless there are ways to keep illegals from voting in our elections, and we should figure that out and get to the bottom of it.
Wesley Hunt represents the 38th District of Texas. He has entered the primary race to be the next senator from Texas, challenging the sitting Senator John Cornyn. And I want to get into that in just a minute. But you have probably heard, how real it is or how big it is, I don't know. But you've probably heard there's this schism right now amongst the base who considers themselves MAGA. America First. I was just reading a story a little while ago, and I've heard it for a couple of weeks now. There seems to be this, again, I don't know how real it is. I'm not convinced it's real, but I have to acknowledge it. We're starting to hear some influencer types, podcaster types, suggesting President Trump's agenda isn't America First. He's spending too much time overseas, blah, blah, blah. I literally don't see it that way. I'm not saying President Trump can't be criticized, but how you can look at this presidency and not say he is moving heaven and earth to make America first is beyond me. But is there anything to last night's outcome in the blue states, Virginia, New Jersey, New York City, and some on our side, if they're real, and I'm not sure they are, suggesting, well, the economy still sucks. That says the president's not doing enough, so maybe we got to look at somebody like Mondami. Again, I don't know that that's real, but there are people pretending they're part of the MAGA movement saying that. Do you see it? And if so, what do you say to it?
Well, I also need to tell everybody to tranquilo, por favor. I mean, that's everybody needs to relax, please, and calm down. Okay, it's gonna be okay. We're talking about Virginia and we're talking about New York. And let me tell you something, they're gonna feel a lot of pain. And as somebody that served in the military, is a West Point grad, I know the definition of pain. These people are getting ready to have a very long 4 years, and it is completely their fault, and they got to deal with it. In terms of the MAGA movement, President Trump won a year ago. He won the country. He won every single swing state. 85% of the counties in this country shifted to the right toward Trump. This is still Trump's party. He won the state of Texas by 15.7 points. It is my opinion that we have got to double down on the MAGA movement and follow the leader, follow our leader that the country duly elected a year ago. And if we double down on him, then we're going to be just fine, because people are wanting to see the kind of change that he is implementing in this country. What we don't need are weak candidates that run away from the president, because when you do that, then you lose the base. The midterms are coming. Which means that turnout is going to be lower, which means that President Trump is not going to be on top of the ticket. So you still need the President Trump voter to come out and vote for you. And that means you have to be an America First patriot who is a dynamic candidate who believes in this agenda and has been on board from day one, and it's people like me. I was the first person in the country to endorse President Trump when he ran. I campaigned with him. I was one of his top surrogates. And the one thing that I saw across this country is people are willing to come out and support someone when they see that level of transparency, authenticity, and honesty. Are you going to put America first or not? And if you're a guy that will, I do believe that we can win overwhelmingly in the midterms.
We have a lot of Texans in this audience, Congressman Hunt, and you've decided to jump in and challenge a fellow Republican, John Cornyn, in the Senate. He's been there a long time. Why do you think it's time for you to replace John Cornyn as the Republican from Texas in the Senate?
Because John Cornyn is the definition of the schism that we're seeing in our country. He is a guy that was anti-Trump. He is a guy that supports that co-authored gun control legislation. He is a guy that voted for amnesty 11 times. He is a guy that it took over a year and a half to endorse President Trump. Okay, this is the definition of anti-America First, and this is not what the people of Texas wanted. You have a 24-year incumbent who has spent $45 million in this race. Yeah, I said it. $45 million in this race before the filing deadline, and he is still losing. And the people of Texas want an alternative, and that's why I got in this race. I'm an America First patriot. I'm born and raised here in Texas. My children are born and raised here in Texas, and I'm going to die in Texas. And I'm going to leave it better than I found it. And people like John Cornyn are not the solution to being the future of this party. It is time to let people know that the United States Senate is not a retirement community. It is time for young America First patriots like me, like JD, like Marco Rubio. These are the people that are surrounding President Trump. They are young. We are reinvigorated America First patriots, and that's exactly what we need for the future, and that's why I got in this race.
Wesley Hunt represents the 38th District of Texas. He's running to be the next senator from Texas. The government shutdown, you guys in the House, you've passed your part of it. You're kind of waiting for the Senate to act here. I've heard it said Democrats are fully willing to reopen the government now that the elections are over. This was all an election ploy to drive turnout. Maybe that worked. I don't know. But do you think this comes to an end this week?
I would like to see it come to an end, but at the end of the day, I've been saying this for weeks. As far as our party is concerned, this is a case of no retreat, no surrender. We have done our part. We did our part in the House. The president wants to open up the government, and he has for weeks. Every single Republican, with the exception of one, has voted to keep every single senator, with the exception of one, has voted to keep the government open. And we have this filibuster issue, so the threshold is 60 votes, which means that this is the Chuck Schumer, this is a Democrat government shutdown, and they're going to have to own it. But under no circumstances should we capitulate to the radical left's agenda by giving in to making sure that illegals get health care. that we weaken our southern border. These are the kinds of things that we have to absolutely say no to. And I think that, to your point about it being a bit of a political ploy for voter turnout in states like Virginia, I kind of buy into that, and I subscribe to that theory. But at the end of the day, we do need to reopen the government, but we as Republicans have got to stand our ground.
Do you see in the House more rescissions coming perhaps before this session is over and we head toward the election? What do you think Mike Johnson and House Republicans can do to stoke a little excitement right now going forward?
I am always a straight shooter. And at the end of the day, we have a 1 or 2 seat majority at this point. The reason why we haven't brought more rescissions to the floor is because there's going to be 1 or 2 people that aren't going to vote for it, and it ain't going to pass. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't try? Of course we should try. Should we get some of the people on the record that are going to be against this to get them on record so that the America First movement sees who's with us and who's against us? Of course. But I also think we have to be pragmatic and understanding that with a 1 or 2 seat majority, and then now that is over, because I think the Democrats have filled a seat or 2 last night, it's just going to be very hard to get every single Republican on board when you have that slim of a majority.
Right. Wesley Hunt, he represents the 38th District of Texas. He's jumping in the Senate race to be the next Republican senator from Texas. You're always welcome back, Congressman. We appreciate your time this morning, sir.
God bless you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.